check out in English?
No, in Lithuanian.
Oh, in Lithuanian. In Lithuanian 10.
Tai jokio skirtumo,
Nu
panelė
gerai.
Rožė. Nu, va,
Ai, nu gerai.
Labas vakaras.
Good evening. We will now have a press conference. You will hear statements by the presidents of Lithuania, Poland, and the Ukraine. And the first to deliver his statement will be President Nausėda. Good afternoon. We have just concluded a joint meeting with the President of Ukraine, Volodimirs Zelenskis, and the President of Poland, Karol Nawrocki. I am pleased that the Lublin Triangle format allows us to discuss directly issues that are important for the entire region, and with your participation for the first time, President Nawrocki. This time, the occasion for our meeting was the commemoration of the January uprising. We paid tribute to the heroes of Lithuania, Poland, and Ukraine who fought under a shared banner, the Eagle, the Vytis, and the Archangel. Their courage, faith, and sacrifice are an example to us all. Commitment to freedom and refusal to submit to tyranny are a shared historical legacy that we cherish and from which we draw inspiration. Russia's war against Ukraine is the primary challenge that we face today. Lithuania provides military, humanitarian, and other support to Ukraine. And therefore, the focus at our today's meeting was war in Ukraine. President Zelensky also introduced the progress in the negotiations on peace in Ukraine. It is not the first time that we see Russia not wanting to commit to peace. Any agreement that will be made in the future should ensure the independence of Ukraine, its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Multinational military forces deployed in Ukraine with the support of the United States would be essential for maintaining peace. Lithuania seeks to integrate Ukraine into the European structures to make its infrastructure stronger, and strong defense forces would prevent a renewed Russian aggression. Therefore, it is essential to provide the necessary funding. Lithuania is already reinforcing its military capabilities, and already this year we have allocated 5.4% of GDP to national defense, and we welcome the fact that Poland is also rapidly increasing its military capabilities. Lithuania seeks Ukraine's membership in the European Union by 2030 at the latest. This would be an essential step towards ensuring long-term stability, security, and prosperity, not only for these countries, but for the entire region. And this is a strategic interest of Lithuania, to which we will devote considerable attention during our presidency of the Council of the EU in 2027. As a member of the Ukraine Civil Protection Shelter Coalition, Lithuania aims to deliver the first tangible results already this year. We are actively contributing to the reconstruction of Ukrainian schools, healthcare institutions, and energy infrastructure. To protect the people of Ukraine, we have already allocated more than 100 million euros. Ukraine's reconstruction must begin now, not at some distant point in the future. As today's events demonstrate, cooperation between the Lublin Triangle countries has enormous potential in the field of historical memory. We are looking forward to a major conference of Lithuania, Polish, and Ukrainian historians later this year. I would like to take the opportunity to focus on our future cooperation as we seek peace, security, and prosperity throughout the region. Therefore, as befits a day like this, we honor the heroes of a glorious uprising, and I address my dear friends, President Zelensky and President Nawrocki. May the struggles of the past inspire us to continue pursuing shared victories. In some words, Dear Volodymyr, happy birthday. Some time ago when we met with the Coalition of the Willing in Paris, I knew that you will visit Lithuania and the day will be your birthday, and I was delighted. And I said that the best way to celebrate your birthday is a place where we have lots of friends. In 1923, when you came to the NATO summit in Vilnius, you see the crowds that gathered in Lukiškių Square with Ukrainian flags welcoming you. Today you saw the crowds of people who gathered at Vilnius Cathedral, where people welcomed you and wished you the best. So I am delighted and very pleased that I had the opportunity to be with you today. And dear Karol, I would like to tell you a few words. Sometimes they say that bilateral relations are influenced by objective factors and developments, and that is true, but that is not the whole truth. Enormous effects are personal relations between the leaders of countries. And I have immediately felt that we will have a good relationship, that we have a shared view of the developments that are going on. And I believe this is a very good sign that the friendship between Lithuania and Poland will develop and strengthen. Thank you for being here. And it's wonderful that the three of us can commemorate the uprising and also meet within the Lublin format. And now, Volodimirs Zelenskis. Dear Gitanas, thank you for your invitation, for your warm words, for support to Ukraine, for warm greetings. Dear Karol, I'm delighted to see you. I'm grateful for today's meeting, and I believe that Gitanas and all of us fully understand that it is a very important day, an important anniversary. But the fact that all of us are together is also very significant. The relations between our three countries will be strengthened further by such meetings. I'm grateful for the first ladies who initiate humanitarian projects, and that is a very positive development. Dear Gitanas, thank you for making it possible for us to meet today and communicate in such a warm atmosphere. Thank you, team, and all Lithuanians. I would like for us to stay together in the future together, Lithuanians, Ukrainians, and Polish people, and also the representatives of democratic Belarusian society. I believe that Belarus will be together with us in Europe, and that the Belarusian people will get what they deserve. All of us must fight and struggle to protect our sovereignty, our freedom, our independence, all of us in our part of Europe. And all of us know what this requires. So thank you, Lithuania. Thank you, Poland, for your support to Ukraine's energy sector, to Ukrainian people, because it is a very painful issue today. People are suffering from Russian attacks against the energy infrastructure, and we're grateful for all the help we get. Today we spoke about energy in Ukraine and the difficulties people face because of insufficient energy supply. We spoke about measures that could strengthen the energy sector. We decided that our teams will cooperate within Pearl and SAFE programs that are very important programs, and they help us a lot. The Pearl program has already delivered very specific results, and our partners are buying missiles and armaments to us. We are still waiting for essential decisions, and I believe that the specific percentage of funding to Ukraine should be specified very clearly. We have to cooperate so that European institutions work together and act effectively. We believe that Europe should stand united and assist Ukraine in technological and other terms, and Ukraine should be within the European Union, and we see it as a priority. I am happy that our partners in Lithuania and Poland support the idea of joining the European Union. It is one of the security guarantees for Ukraine. It is one of the main essential guarantees. Therefore, we also speak about 2027. Gitanas spoke about the year 2030. He's an excellent advocate for Ukraine on its path to the European Union. And of course, during Lithuania's presidency of the European Union, we expect Lithuania's support. Don't forget, Gitanas, the year 2027. We also discussed our work with our partners, our cooperation and discussions with the United States. I informed Gitanas about the negotiations in Abu Dhabi, but Europe should also be sufficiently resolved and continue its pressure against Russia, against the shadow fleet, and Russia's attacks, including its propaganda war, should be stopped, and we must work together to make this happen. Evasion of these sanctions should be eradicated, and I would like once again to thank you all. I would like to thank all of the people in Europe who help us. Thank you, Lithuania. Thank you, Poland, and glory to Ukraine. Thank you, Mr. President. Now, President Novrotsky. First of all, I would like to thank President Gitanas Nausėda for this invitation and for our meeting within the Lublin Triangle format. We spent 2 days together with President Nausėda. Yesterday in Warsaw, we commemorated the January uprising, and today in Vilnius, we continued the commemorations. I am delighted to have met with President Zelenskis. We discussed not only our regional problems, but also the world agenda. The January uprising that we celebrated here that we commemorated here in Vilnius continues to affect us in the 20th century. Many developments, of course, took place, but essentially things do not change, that Russia continues to pose a threat to the whole region of Europe. Sometimes there are timeouts, but in essence, Russia's policy does not change. So our independent states are always facing the same threat, which comes from the Russian Federation. Therefore, it is very important to maintain such regional formats. In Poland, we focus on them very strongly. In Davos, we discussed also the three initiative, and today's evening confirms the positive actions of the Lublin Triangle countries, and I would like to thank everybody for not forgetting this format, because European countries, most of European countries, especially the countries of the Lublin Triangle, did not make a mistake about the threat coming from Russia. Of course, we pose migration crisis, and it is very important that the voice of Central Europe should be spread around Europe and the world through the Lublin Triangle. Today we also spoke about security. I would like to thank President Zelensky for his introduction to the situation on the front line. And I participate in very many formats, including discussions that take place with President Trump. But of course, the best thing to find out about the developments on the front line is from the first hand. It helps to secure our situation. And as you know, Poland allocates 5% of its GDP for military purposes. We have a strong army, and I would like to thank Lithuania and its government that you have also reached the 5% benchmark. In Lithuania, and in other neighbors feel responsibility to resist Russia, and everybody has agreed to invest in infrastructure, military infrastructure. We know that Lithuania is planning to invest in the Kapčiamiestis training area, and if built, the Polish troops will also be able to train there. It is a very solid investment and meaningful for the security of the Suwałki corridor. It means that we are very serious about our regional security. And the social problems related to these developments I believe will be resolved. We also focus on our transatlantic relations, and I solidarize with President Zelensky and President Nausėda that the transatlantic bond in our region, the presence of U.S. troops in Lithuania and the Poland, where 10,000 U.S. troops are deployed, in Lithuania 1,000 troops is deployed. So at the Lublin Triangle Initiative, cooperation with the United States in military and economic terms is very important, and it unites us within the Lublin Triangle. We're also members of the European Union, and we cooperate very successfully at this level. As regards our Lithuanian partners, we have an excellent opportunity to discuss our investments in the infrastructure. These investments are also related to the use of the infrastructure for defense, because it is a dual usage infrastructure to secure our safety and also for economic purposes, to invest further in the links in the infrastructure projects that connect us, like Rail Baltica and other interconnections. We also discussed the Lithuanian minority in Poland and the Polish minority in Lithuania. We also striving to improve their ethnic situation. We also discussed the economic situation, and I was delighted to accept Donald Trump's confirmation of our importance as we have been invited to the G20. This is an important recognition of Poland. We also plan a conference on European reconstruction. It will take place in Warsaw and for the whole of the region and our businesses. This will provide good opportunities to plan their investments in Ukraine. It will be a very important meeting. Today, I can speak on behalf of my colleagues that not only on historical terms, but also on today's, in the terms of today's reality, we maintain a solid position as regards Russia and its threat. Both Poland and Lithuania see things along similar lines, and I am sincerely grateful for today's meeting. Now, questions from the press. The Lithuanian media will be first. Good afternoon, Presidents. I would like to ask President Gitanas Nausėda, you spoke about Ukraine's membership in the European Union by 2030. Do you think this is a strategic aim or it is a realistic term? President Nawrocki, does Poland support Ukraine's membership in the European Union? And President Zelensky, you mentioned the year 2027. Do you mean that Ukraine will be ready to join the European Union in 2027? The year 2027 that was mentioned, it delighted me when it was mentioned because I believe that having the political will and the skills that Ukraine has, I believe everything is possible for Ukraine and in Ukraine. Still, we should speak about the date of accession as a political ambition. All the aims have to be achieved by the date of accession. There also are legal requirements, and there may be factors that will accelerate or slow down the process of accession. But we should realize that it is an issue of today, an issue for our generation, not for the future generation. And it is very important for Ukraine itself. And I have repeatedly spoken about it with President Zelensky, that it is very important for the people of Ukraine who are suffering from war. And it is the least that we can do, that is to unite, to stand together, and to do the best that we can and the quickest that we can to make Ukraine EU member state. Even if we do not close all the chapters by 2027, I believe it could be done in stages. Some of the chapters will be closed in 2027, and Ukraine would be able to access the single market. It is a huge benefit. Also the structural funds. And our date, which is 2030, is based on the fact that process is difficult. And even if we had the political will, we perhaps have to implement all the legal acts that the European Union requires for its membership. Lithuania is ready to make the best use of its presidency in the first half of 2027 of the European Union to accelerate Ukraine's steps on the road to the European Union, also including Moldova. Albania and Montenegro are also have a good chance to join the European Union in the near future. Today it was an object of our discussion. We did not speak today about Ukraine's accession process or specific dates. The process of accession is very difficult. We hear two dates, 2027 from President Zelensky and 2030 from President Nausėda. I would not like to add any more dates, but as you know, the process is difficult and it takes a long period of time. We have experienced it ourselves. Speaking about the strategic issues, Ukraine is on the path to the west, not to the east. And people know it in Ukraine and also in Europe. So the direction is very clear, but I would not like to speak about specific dates, because speaking about formal formalities that perhaps President Zelensky could enumerate better than myself, and I will leave this for specialists to comment. As regards security guarantees, let's start with this question. Specific security guarantees for Ukraine gives an opportunity to specify the date when the war will end, the war in Ukraine and also in Europe. Security guarantees for Europe, which is part of Europe, is necessary to Europe as well. And for us, we need bilateral security guarantees from the United States. And documents have already been drawn up. And now we are looking forward to its signing and the ratification in the Congress and the Rada. That's what we agreed to. The second important guarantees are European guarantees to Europe, and here I mean membership in the European Union as a very important factor. We would like Ukraine to join the European Union in 2027, when Ukraine will be technically prepared to become a member. I would say that we will be technically prepared to open all clusters by the end of this year, and we will make progress in 2027. We want to end the war, and we want all the sides to keep to the dates, including the press, who will also have to sign the document if such a moment comes, so nobody blocks our entry to the European Union. And the Polish media.
Some representatives of the Belarusian Democratic Forces believe that dialogue with Alexander Lukashenko could help release political prisoners and weaken Moscow's influence over Belarus. How realistic and acceptable do you find this approach? Would be ready to pursue it? I would appreciate answers from all three presidents. Thank you.
I believe that it is an essential precondition if the Belarusian regime wants to break the isolation, and he seeks to warm up the relationship with the United States. But that is only one of the elements, because the sanctions that the European Union imposed on Belarus were not only based on the imprisonment of political prisoners, but this is a process that has no end. New prisoners, political prisoners, are in jail. But the Belarusian regime is a very active supporter of Russia in its war against Ukraine, and President Zelensky can provide very many details and specifics about it, how Russians act on the Belarusian territory and carry out war against Ukraine. And we know very well about the deployment of Oreshnik in Belarus. We also know about the deployment of new nuclear capacities in Belarus, and all of this poses additional threat to the people in the region. So only the element of releasing political prisoners is not enough. We have to speak across the whole spectrum of things. Belarus must be a normal, civilized country, stop being an accessory to Russia, and it should live according to normal standards. Thank you for your question. Russia has imprisoned thousands of Ukrainians in Russia, and we know how difficult negotiations are proceeding on exchanging prisoners of war. We exchange a certain number of war prisoners to a certain number of war prisoners, and the situation as regards political prisoners is even more complicated. They do not want to release political prisoners. We cannot call it a success, because many people are still in jails and in camps in Russia. As regards the release of Belarusian political prisoners, we help the United States on this question, how to negotiate political prisoners to be released from prisons, both in Belarus and in Russia. We see that many political prisoners have been released in Belarus, and they have left their country. We hope to support this process, and we hope the United States President, support as we try to release our prisoners in Russia. First of all, Belarus is a partner of Russia, and we know it very well. And it is also responsible for the hybrid war that is carried out at the eastern borderline. And Belarusian actions confirm that they are participants of this hybrid war. So everybody speaks out for a free Belarusian nation, and I believe that in the near future, 4 presidents will meet within the Lublin Triangle format. And as regards the release of prisoners, we know that it needs diplomatic efforts and talking with our political enemies. This is not the first time that this is happening. We have to sit down at a round table and speak out. Well, first of all, I think of the Belarusian regime in negative terms, but as regards the political prisoners, including Polish prisoners in Belarus, I believe we must use all possible channels to make them free. So Poland and the President of Poland would also support free Belarus.
Mr. Zelensky, after the talks in Abu Dhabi, you said that parameters for possible peace were discussed. Can you expand on what parameters are discussed, and is the Ukraine giving up land in Donbass one of these parameters discussed?
Thank you for your question. If you're interested, I will answer you. As regards the meeting in Abu Dhabi, it was trilateral. It was the first time in a long time that such a meeting happened. In Abu Dhabi, not only diplomats met, but also military representatives. The questions were many. They were somehow reduced. Russia is trying to make Ukraine as a partner, a friend, an ally of their country, but they are failing. They are failing, and they are not winning the war. We are fighting for our country. We are fighting on our territory, not in some other country. There are two principal positions, and the Americans are trying to find the compromise. So we will continue our talks at the bilateral level. What a compromise needs is the readiness of all the sides, including America, to agree. Thank you.
Grzegorz Tkaczyk, TVN24, Polish Television. Szanowni Państwo.
Ponai prezidentai, norėčiau paklausti apie Donaldo Trumpo žodžius dėl NATO. Mr. President, I would like to ask you about Donald Trump's description of NATO allies and their presence in Afghanistan. Do you believe this should be tolerated? Because the statement, some say, scandalous. How would you treat these words? Perhaps you would like to call him and to say that the allies died in Afghanistan too, and what kind of action could be taken from Ukraine, from Belarus and Lithuania? I believe that we have given a very clear answer. The situation is like this. All the countries were engaged in the mission in Afghanistan, including Lithuania. Lithuania took the responsibility for reconstructing the Gore province. It also sent its special troops to Afghanistan and participated in military operations. Our soldiers also died during the mission, and Many more died from other allies. Therefore, I believe that all the countries who took part in the mission in Afghanistan, they took this very seriously. They took on the responsibility and the risk they faced, and therefore we have to say the situation was as we see it. First of all, I would like to say that we have 200,000 troops in Poland, and they are our treasure. They are respected by all our allies, by our neighbors, and also they are respected by our transatlantic partners. I know people who took part in the mission in Afghanistan, and Polish soldiers were killed in Afghanistan. They are also serving in NATO troops in many places around the world. And therefore, I well know how Polish soldiers fight very bravely in these missions. And we rely on allied forces, and allied forces can rely on Polish forces. So President Trump, when he spoke, he ended our meeting on Thursday telling me that you are great warriors. What he had in mind that Poland is a great warrior across various and different fields. As regards his statements, I cannot comment them. I do not know what he wanted to say because all the allies are involved in peacekeeping and in peace missions, and President Trump knows how much Polish people have committed to international and NATO missions. I believe that the United States is a leader on the international arena, but nobody can reduce the importance of Polish troops in international missions. As regards President Trump, when he made this statement, and there was a huge international interest, so I will say that Polish-U.S. relations are very respectful, speaking at the highest level and also at the military level. I would also like to point out that the thing is that President Trump did not speak about Poland. Otherwise, he would not have described as great warriors at this summit. So very often these questions are being raised by those who have not yet apologized Poland, because the Polish soldiers are great, and this is known around the world. Ukraine is not a NATO member, but still I will make a comment. When the United States left Afghanistan and all of us saw what happened there, we were approached by the military, and I allowed our military and our intelligence to help NATO in several missions, and we helped to evacuate people from Afghanistan and all. I think that it does not that it's not important whether you are a member of NATO or not. How you act is the most important thing. Thank you for the press conference.